right? So listen very, very carefully, because what we are going to be discussing today, and write everything, each and every word by word. When I tell you listen, you listen. When I tell you write, you write. So make sure that you write word by word. Make sure that you listen carefully. And I can promise you that, what you're going to study today is going to go about and change the way you approach the horoscope. See, first you start with your family member's horoscope. Once you finish your family member's horoscope, nobody can actually control you, because you would be in that position where you would feel that, literally I can predict for anybody and everybody. Just using the concept that I'm sharing today, right? So write down the heading today. The first, what we are going to discuss today is for people in the northern part of India. Don't worry, I would share you the North Indian chart as well. But parallelly, you write the South Indian chart. Let's not call it South Indian chart. Let's call it the standard chart. So you draw the standard chart along with me. For your understanding, I will also draw the North Indian chart. Don't worry about that, right? So write down combustion, right? Combustion slash, for people in the northern part of India, Asta Graha, Asta Graha, Asta. Slash, for people in the southern part of India, Astangam, right? You can write that down. First, you need to listen carefully. See, we spoke about, or I discussed in detail about, the BHAVA lords, the BADHAKA for people in the southern part of India. TITHI SHOONYA, which is DAGDHA RASHI for people in the northern part of India. NEECH, NEECHam. I've given you a complete explanation also pertaining to that MAANDI, right? How it impacts, when it impacts, the way it impacts, point by point. And I've also given you an example. I've given you example horoscopes as well. So now you write down, as I'm telling you, for combust grahas. First, you need to get to know the definition. The definition is slightly varying from the classical definition of astrology. Why? Because we are talking about predictive astrology. So daily when you sit down and practice and analyze horoscopes, you would be able to know that why certain things work the way they work. Why certain things don't work even though they are supposed to work. And immediately what you would do is you would go and type in Google Baba. Google Baba will give you a bazillion answers and you will get confused and you will leave astrology, right? So here, as you keep practicing, you will be able to go about and filter certain rules, right? Which means write down as I'm telling, so that even 10 days from now, 20 days from now, 1 year from now, once you refer back to your notes, you should be able to get to the chase of what I'm telling. And most importantly, you should be able to teach people also. That's the whole point. Write down grahas within 3.5 degrees to 4 degrees, right? In bracket, write down before and after from the degree of the sun are considered to be combust, are considered to be asta, A-S-T-A, are considered to be astangam. Whichever language you prefer, you write it down, right? Which means sun is in a particular Rashi, sir. Sun is in a particular Rashi, ma'am. He is positioned in a particular degree. From the degree where sun is positioned, right, you cover 3.5 degrees. See, 3.5 degrees can be a little confusing. The basis of this is very, very simple. We are considering one nakshatra pada, one nakshatra charana, one nakshatra what, which is 3 degrees and 20 minutes. So to be on the safer side, I've put 3 degree, 3.5 degrees. To be in a more safer side, in order to avoid confusion, what you can do is you simply put it as 4 degree. So always keep in mind, wherever sun is positioned, in whichever degree it is positioned, 4 degree backwards, 4 degree forward. When there is a graha in that degree, then you consider it as asta. Then you consider it as combustion. See, if you look into the actual degree of combustion, just for your knowledge, please don't write it down because that should not add to your confusion. When Mars 17 degrees, Guru 11 degrees, Mercury 14 degrees, Moon, Chandra 12 degrees, Saturn 18 degrees, Shukra 10 degrees, that's when they are considered to be combust. Again, when we are talking about grahas and VAKRA, Mercury in 12 degrees, Shukra in 8 degrees, Asta. But you're not going to use this. Just 4 degrees is enough. Forward, backward, before, after. This is more than enough. This rule will work. It's as simple as that, right? So what all of you can do is, you can draw a Rashi chakra. For people in the southern part of India, or for people who don't know anything, who are just following me, just stick on with the standard chart. For people in the northern part of India, please draw the South Indian chart or the standard chart, and also draw the North Indian chart as well, right? Let me connect the Mac with, let me just connect the iPad. So let's consider, since we are going to be using the North Indian chart as well, it's important to have the Lagna. So in the South Indian chart itself, also let me put the Lagna. Let me put it as Kumbha Lagna. The Lagna is not important because we are just looking at the combustion point of a Graha. So for namesake, let me put Mercury anywhere in the horoscope. So let me put Sun anywhere in the horoscope, not Mercury, I'm sorry. Let me put Sun anywhere in the horoscope. Why? Because combustion is considered from the degree of the Sun. So just for convenience, I'm putting Sun here in Kanya Rashi, which happens to be the 8th bhava, right? Now, along with Sun, you also need to put the degree of the Sun, because degree is extremely important. So let me put the degree of Sun as 14 degrees, right? Let me put the degree of Sun as 14 degrees. Similarly, the same thing you put in the North Indian chart. So if you are referring to Kumbha Lagna here, so you put 11 here, right? And we are looking at the Ashtama Bhava. So in the 8th Bhava, what you can do is, in the 8th Bhava, you can put Sun. You can put Sun here in 18 degrees. Remember, you can have Sun anywhere. That's not the point, right? Now, let's take Mars, right? The same Mars I'm putting in Kanya Rashi, right? And I have a Mars in 17 degrees. So here also what? I'm putting a Mars in 17 degrees. Let's also take another Graha here. Let's take a Graha, Guru or Jupiter. Right. Let's put this Graha, right? Let's put this Graha in 12 degrees. So Guru here in 12 degrees. So now apply the rule here. When grahas are within, in order to avoid confusion, what you're going to do, 4 degrees is more than enough, right? So when grahas are within 4 degrees, before and after, from the degree of the Sun, they are considered to be Asta. They are considered to be combust. They are considered to be Astangam. So 17 minus 14, what do we have? 17 minus 14, we have 3. So it is considered to be Asta. 14 minus 12, again, what do we have? We have 2. So again, it is considered to be Asta. Why? Why? Because he is in a close degree from the degree of the Sun. This is as simple as that. This is the first rule, right? This is the first rule. Now, you also need to understand a very, very important rule, which will actually go about and change the way you look into the horoscope itself. Right? So write down next. Grahas in any of the bhavas, grahas in any of the bhavas within 4 degrees of the Sun, before and after, should be treated as combust grahas. Write down the word, underline the word treated. Why? Because when you're looking at a horoscope, you write it down. I will explain that to you with an example. When you are looking at a horoscope, when you are analyzing a horoscope, you're going to treat that as an combust graha. But when you are teaching, you should know this fact. You should treat it as a combust graha. Right? First, you need to write this down. So sun is in a particular degree, in a particular rashi. This is the example that we saw here as of now, right? So sun is in a particular degree, he is in a particular rashi. So 4 degrees forward, backward in this rashi itself, right? You're seeing within that 4 degree, you're seeing a graha. So you call it combust, right? But a graha can be in any place. A graha can be in any place here. And he can be within this 4 degree of the sun. You will or you should treat it as Asta grahas. Sir, how can I trust you? You predict using this rule, then you would understand, oh, this is that missing jigsaw in this horoscope. This is that missing puzzle in that horoscope, and you would get Ripley's believe it or not answers. See, in certain horoscopes, all rules would be matching. Still, you would be thinking, why is this person not having a child? Why is this person not getting married? Why is this person not getting a job? Why is this person still not settled? Then what you would do, you would say this system is not working, that system is not working. You would move from one system to another system. So everything is there in what is there in traditional astrology itself. But your view, the way you look at things should automatically change. So now, let's say, I'm just giving you another example in order to go about and elucidate this rule with an example further, right? So let's say you have, just for the sake of it, let's say I'm putting a Dhanusha Lagna, right? Let's say sun is in Kataka Rashi in 20 degree, right? So Dhanusha Lagna, you can put 9th here. And let's say sun is in Kataka Rashi, which means sun is right here, which is sun is in the Ashtama Bhava. So sun is right here in 20 degrees. Now, let's say Guru is in the 4th Bhava in Meena Rashi. Guru is in the 4th Bhava in Meena Rashi in 18 degrees. Again, you can write here also, Guru is in the 4th Bhava in 18 degrees. Now, you will be thinking, you know what? This person should be having land, this person should be having property. Why? Because the 4th Bhava Lord itself is in the 4th Bhava. He is in his own sign. But then when you look into the degrees closely, always when you write the degrees, make sure you mention the degrees like this. Otherwise, you will make a mistake. So always mention the degrees properly, right? So then now you need to go about and use this rule. Where is sun? Sun is in 20 degrees. A graha can be in any of the bhavas. It does not have to be in the bhava where sun is positioned. It does not have to be in the rashi where sun is positioned. But if the graha is close to the degree of sun, what do I mean by close to the degree of sun? Within the 4 degree, forward and backward, then you treat it as an Asta graha. And this rule would work beautifully. And in fact, I would be telling you the points also, each and every point that you need to be telling for each and every one of them. Which means you should not think that, you know what, sun is here. From sun, it is so far away, almost, you know what, almost 9 bhavas away. So how will it impact? No, you don't have to think like that. Which means however far he can be, however close he can be, as long as he is close to the degree of sun, it will go about and spoil the significators associated with that graha. Right? Which means, what is the difference between this and that? When I mean this and that, both of them will work the same way. The only difference is between you, which means the astrologer. A normal astrologer or any astrologer, what they would do, they would know when a graha is getting so close to the sun, especially when it comes to the conventional degrees that they use, they would call it as combust. That's all. They would say nothing is happening in your life because it is combust. But the only difference between them and you is now you will look at a different angle where you know where sun is. Immediately the next time, what are you going to do? The next time when you get the horoscope from now, immediately you look into the degree of sun. Then you will immediately see in your horoscope which are the grahas and what are the degrees in which these grahas are. And then you would start going about and analyzing the horoscope in a completely different way, in a completely different fashion, right? So this is an important rule. Next, write down when in this same fashion, write down in this same fashion or same manner, which means within the degree of sun, it can be in the same Rashi, it can be far, far away also. If sun or Rahu are the if Rahu or Ketu are there, which means you have sun, Rahu or Ketu, then you can treat it as grahana dosha. Grahana dosha is what? We are talking about a situation or a situation in the horoscope where the sun is taken over by the Sarpa Grahas. The attributes or the qualities of the Sarpa Grahas supersede or exceed the qualities of the sun, which automatically becomes a little dangerous, which means the qualities of sun goes down, the qualities of the Sarpa Graha, Rahu Ketu, goes up, which qualifies it for a grahana dosha. Which means here what happens is, which is you have sun, you have a degree of sun, and Rahu Ketu are getting close to the degree of sun. What is the close to degree of sun? Within 4 degrees, forward and backward. So here what would happen is, we are talking about the attributes of the Sarpa Grahas which would be enhanced in a person's life. The concept that you need to understand here is, here you have a Graha. A Graha signifies a Bhava. This Bhava signifies living entities. This Bhava signifies non-living entities. Mostly when we are talking about a Bhava here, especially when we are talking about Astanga, the living entities of the signifying Bhava, the living entities of that signifying Graha, which means what? If Guru is getting into a Astangam, if Guru is getting into a Asta, the living entities which are signified by Guru and the Bhava in your horoscope which Guru is ruling over gets affected. Again, what, how, when, what are the living, what are the non-living, all of that we will get to one by one. Now, you should not ask me this question, sir, are you telling sun is here? So, from sun, we are talking about, from the sun, we are talking about Guru in the 9th. So, since from the sun it is getting into the 9th and it is in the close degree of sun, it is getting into a Asta. No, it is not like that. In order to go about and clarify this point to you, another time or in another way, again draw a horoscope so that you don't forget this rule. Right? Draw a chart. In that put Kataka Lagna. So what would you put in the northern chart? You would put 4th here as the ascendant, which you can put as AS if you want to. Let's say sun is in the 11th bhava. Okay. And let us say sun is in 2 degrees. Right? Let us say sun is in 2 degrees. So here also in the North Indian chart, what you can do? You can put sun here in 2 degrees in the North Indian chart. Right? Let's say Rahu is in the 12th bhava. Right? Rahu is in the 12th bhava. This is the 12th bhava. Right? And Rahu is in 2 degrees. Right? So in the North Indian chart also, for people who are not following the North, leave the North Indian chart. For those who are not following, I'm just sharing the North Indian chart so that the people in the northern part of India find it easier and they slowly graduate to the standard chart. right? So fathers, please follow the standard South Indian chart. So now what is happening here? Sun is in one bhava, Rahu is in another bhava. Sun, Rahu are not connected, but the only connection point is the degree. Both of them are in the same degree. So what would you call it, sir? What would you call it, ma'am? You would call it grahana dosha. Which means Rahu can be anywhere, by the way. It can be here. It can be here. It can be here. It can be here. It can be in any of the place in this horoscope as long as it is 2 degrees. Or to be precise, 4 degrees, within 4 degrees, forward, backward. In this case, since we discussed, what did we discuss? Sun, Rahu, or Ketu, we would call it as grahana dosha. Right. Now, when we are talking about grahana dosha, which means it can be in the same bhava, same rashi, or it can be anywhere.
So, pardon?
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
Pardon?
Yes,
that
ma'am. Yes,
means the sun gets weak, isn't it here?
yes, ma'am. Sun gets weak.
Okay.
Now, ma'am, I will tell you the points. When you're making your prediction, just tell these points. That is more than enough, right? Now, when we are referring to a grahana dosha, what would happen? Number one by one you can write down. See, when we are saying sun is weak, what are we trying to tell here? We should get to the chase. We should get to the points, which means sun is in this degree. Rahu is in the same degree of sun or within this 4 degree of sun. We are calling it grahana dosha. Now we need to ascertain that it is a grahana dosha in the horoscope, right? Number 1, they will have abdominal ailment / intestinal ailment. Number 2, either the person or the person's father, right? See, when do we take father? When do we take mother? When the grahana dosha is caused by Sun Rahu, then you take it as father's side. Similarly, you can also write when moon is in close degree with Rahu and Ketu, or Ketu, I'm sorry. This is also called as a grahana dosha. Same rule, 4 degree. You can go about it. So when we are referring to Rahu, Sun, automatically you can apply it to the father's side. When you are referring to the moon, Rahu, Ketu, then you can apply it to the mother's side. Right? So in both the cases, what happens? The Sarpa grahas precede and take over the sun and moon. So number 1, abdominal ailments, intestinal ailments. Number 2, father, grandfather, or even this person, 2 marriages. Number 3, in this family, there would be a child who would be born with the umbilical cord around his or her head or neck. So the first way to actually go about and find out is what? Is the rule matching? Yes, grahana dosha. Right? Which means throughout this dynasty, one by one thing would be happening like this. Number 4, from one bloodline to another, which means throughout the genealogy or dynasty, there would be putra dosha, which means this person will have putra dosha, his father will have putra dosha, his grandfather will have putra dosha. What is putra dosha? Putra dosha is either a child is born and dies, or very delayed child, or 2, they will be separated from the child. This person would be separated from the father early in the age. After a certain age, he will grow up, he will get married, he will have a child, he will also be separated from the child. Number 5, throughout the Vamsa, which means from one dynasty to the other next dynasty, right? From one Vamsa to the next Vamsa, right? Separated from the father and mother. Which means one person would be separated from the father and mother, After that, he gets married, he has children, and his children would be separated from him. Which means from one Vamsa to the other Vamsa, from one generation to the other generation, they would be separated from their children. Number 6, they will have visual impairment. Immediately don't compare it as, don't tell it as blind. Visual problems would be there, right? So you can just write down. One is you write down the points, and below the points you can write down, always you can write down grahana, dosha. And you can write the points. Point number 1, 2 marriages. So you see, anybody who's born during the Amavasya Tithi, you can just find it out from them. In their family, there would be 2 marriages. In the mother's side, there would be 2 marriages. All this rule, you can immediately go about and apply, and you can stun your clients. Putra dosha, right? Then, eye visual impairment, ailment. So you can remember quickly or you can revise quickly. Umbilical cord around neck and separation from parents. So like this way, you can remember easily, but the easiest way to remember is, one is the reading portion of it, one is the writing portion of it, the listening portion of it. But the most important thing that you need to keep in mind is you need to apply it in your horoscope. The moment you find out, you know what, who has this grahana dosha in my family, immediately nobody has to teach you to revise, nobody has to teach you to remember henceforth, because each and every point that you apply would work beautifully and magically in that person's horoscope, and by that way itself you would be able to remember it for the other horoscope. Which means, now if this is for Chandra, which means Chandra is associated with Rahu Ketu. See, if Chandra is in a particular degree, and if in the close degree of Chandra you have a Rahu, obviously the degree in which Rahu is would be the degree in which Ketu is. Then you would use this rule for what? The mother's side. Now, if you have Sun in a particular degree, and in that particular degree, or 4 degree here, 4 degree there, you have Rahu, Ketu in that degree, right? Or within that 4 degree here and there, then you would use it for father's side, right? So here we need to understand Moon, Sun, whichever degree they are. And when we are talking about Sun, and when Moon comes very close to the degree of Sun, which means 4 degree here and there, then what it qualifies as is, it qualifies as a Amavasya Yogam. Right? It qualifies as a Amavasya Yogam. Write down. When Chandra is in the close degree of Sun, that is 4 degree before, 4 degree within 4 degree before and after, you call it as Amavasya Yogam. What happens during the Amavasya Yogam? What is the prediction here? Number 1, eye ailment. Number 2, the mother's health would be very, very poor, weak. Number 3, in the family, there would be people who would have had delayed speech or who would have stuttered or stammered while speaking, which means the Vaksthana or the sthana for speech would be afflicted. Number 4, mental disturbances will be there. For whom? For this person first. Then you can talk about family members. Number 5, here also, as I told you before, here also father or grandfather, right, would have 2 marriages. You can use this rule for all people, those who are born during Amavasya. The first thing that you can ask is, in your family, 2 marriages, father's side, grandfather's side. Don't immediately tell that person, they will get offended. Right? Number 6, marriage within blood relationship. You will find a lot of people, those who are born, having the Amavasya Yogam. One is Amavasya Tithi, people those who are born during the Amavasya Tithi. But here, when moon is in the close degree of sun, this also is qualified as Amavasya Yogam. So there would be marriages amongst the blood relationship. Lot of people, those who have this Amavasya Yogam. Next. What you can do next? Next, you can write heading as when mercury gets into a combustion, Asta or Astangam. Point number 1. When mercury or Buddha gets into a Astangam or Asta. Point number 1. Forgetfulness. Number 2. Which means all the points that I'm giving you one by one, these are the only points that you need to tell. Right? Slowly, as you keep revising, you can come up with your own points, but make it a point, or make it sure that each and every consultation of yours is point driven. You should not just endlessly go about and blabber stories. This is the point. This is going to happen in your life. This is the way it is. That is when customers, clients, they would have respect towards you. Right? So number 1, forgetfulness. Number 2,